Yeah, I like to win, but I want to have fun, and it helps bring back the fun of pickleball because there's a lot of ribbing and shit talking and jibing at one another. So
How does that go with? That's why I was like in that type of community. It's got to be like all these older, not older, alpha males that are just like want to play you with it. You
not
have like it's a
really.
lose. It's like I feel like you're in a lose lose
No,
lose.
not at all. Like Mondays is
Okay.
mixed doubles, and I play. Obviously, I have a male partner, and then Wednesdays it's a guy's money ball that I'm allowed to play in. So I'm like one of the few females that's allowed to play, and it's just fun, and it just is. It's good. It's there are a couple of people who have super huge egos, but for the most part, like 99% of the guys are all super fun and friendly, and you go have a beer afterwards,
Do you
and life
win?
is good. I win sometimes, I lose sometimes. It's not to me. It's about bringing back the joy and seeing the growth of the community and seeing you know
Do
how
people watch
pickleball.
that?
Yeah, it's people come out and watch, but it's fun to see the joy of pickleball and seeing how it's helping keep everybody active and how they just love it. And to me, to be a part of that and to be included in that is huge. So I
No,
mean,
I love it. That's the whole reason I'm doing this. It's what Steve Kuhn came out with this one thing. It's going to be like your high school court in every community, or like your high school gym, basketball gym in your every community and across the country. You probably can't maybe associate as well as I can, but we had like a teen center that just everybody went and played basketball.
right, but it's one of those things, right, where if you look at people exist in one of three spaces, right? They exist in work, they exist at home, and the third space for a lot of people was church. And for
Hmm.
whatever reason, that might be declining or whatever, but now pickleball has become this third space where people exist. And it's their backyard, it's their community, it's where they feel like they belong, which is part of the human condition, right? You want to feel like you're a part of something, that you belong somewhere, that you're needed and wanted. And pickleball has tapped into that for a lot of people. And it comes back to the teen youth centers, the community centers, right, where you went and hung out. It didn't
Yeah.
matter if if plans fell through on a Thursday, you could go down to the youth center and fit right
Well,
in. And this is what
what I was
pickleball.
that's kind of I always I'm like a super over analyzer. That's why you kind of get me a little bit because you look at a deeper level too. But like I looked at that as like, oh, the teen center, that was the only place that I got to like see every type. There was it's like street ball, so you'd see very different types of kids that had the same connection, and that was the only connection we had. They were the kids that all smoked cigarettes and did all whatever that type of crowd was, and everybody has their own little crowd. And then in when Steve Kuhn said that, I and me looking at like all the softball I played, the kickball I
By the
seen,
way, you're gonna edit some of this
yeah,
because I mean, probably Steve Kuhn probably would be a word I would use right now.
yeah, I know.
The
So
pickleball community.
so I'm not. I don't. I'm just saying that spade is spade. He's gonna.
Yeah.
There's gonna be so much drama that goes up and down all around. But yeah. So I'm just talking about. He was the first person. I was preaching this underground. This is going to be bigger than golf and tennis. This is the biggest thing that can 8-year-olds and 90-year-olds can play. And really, it's just because it's so fun. And then so then he comes out and says that. But then I was just like, I go deeper. This is the only thing that's has that high school gym thing that I said, but from every single person and category and age and demographic and physical ability, mental ability, that is like what he described, but 100 times bigger. And
I mean, think about it. Who would have thought a bat and a ball, literally, it's a bat and a ball, right? Would have changed so many people's lives and connected or interwoven the social fabric of community so deep, right? Like, I mean, at its basic level, it's a bat and a ball.
it,
But
it's
what it's
it's
created is a huge, huge fabric of interwoven old, young, able, disabled, red, blue collar, white collar, you name it, race, religion, it doesn't matter. We are all
Lee, the
connected.
same reason I'm on the call with you, like me and you right now.
Yeah.
Who would be attached to a Gibraltar tennis player? I never played tennis my whole life. Okay, I was on Wall Street, live in Colorado, and then me and I we text weekly. You know, it's like,
I mean, and take it further. I mean, I yesterday, I think it was yesterday, right? I was playing here in the villages in the Moneyball with one of your dad's dearest friends. Like it just, I mean, it's. You remember the old game, 6 degrees of separation, or 6 degrees from Kevin Bacon?
yep,
And I think pickleball has shortened it to three.
yeah.
It's like everyone knows somebody's done it, and then it's like, oh yeah, and it's and the way that people are pickleball is sort of this one thing of like, oh, I know somebody who plays pickleball. I should connect you with them. And it's like a boom. It's like, let me open up my Rolodex right away. Where people we live in a world where people aren't really willing to do that. But think of the networking that happens on pickleball courts.
It's fine. So it's finally not um, like not a cliche, but it wasn't accepted before to like pickleball. It was like you couldn't tell people you whispered pickleball. You never not many people would come out and be really confident that they played pickleball. That's like before it was kind of just not
It's like
even.
prohibition time, right? It's
Yeah,
like,
that's
I
I was
mean,
trying.
and I was the first person to say I will never play pickleball. Tennis is my first love. I'm gonna play tennis. I'm a tennis purist. Pickleball's for old people. Why would I play a sport my dead grandma could play? It's loud. It's obnoxious. The scoring makes no sense. And apparently, never say never because here I am. And I mean, I was one of those, and I know 1,000 people who were that same person. And then it was, I'm gonna go play pickleball. Where are you going? I'm like, I'm gonna go meet some friends. What are you gonna do? Don't worry about it. I'm just gonna go meet some friends. 4 hours later, I'll come back a sweaty mess. And then it became accepted, and I'm gonna go play pickleball. And then people are like, "Oh, what's pickleball?" Or I've heard of pickleball, and now everyone's like, "I know either I play pickleball or I know somebody who plays pickleball."
Let's.
That's the evolution.
I want to divert for a sec because I never asked you this stuff. Like, what were you thinking of your life when 2 years before you got into pickleball? Like your identity and your social structure, and then 2 years after pickleball.
I mean,
And
I was
I'll do the
yeah.
same with. I'll do the same to for me because it's like
I mean, I
wild.
was I was running tennis. I'd been a director of tennis and fitness for eons, and I was very career driven and on my path of, you know, I still played tennis socially. I played in leagues. I played in did some stuff and was into boxing and really wasn't thinking about having a second professional sports career. That was never on the cards in my 40s, right? So when pickleball came in, it was like, oh, this is something fun to do. It's a good
When was
outlet.
the last time you had competed before that? In a,
I competed in leagues, but nothing major, right? I think my early 2000s is probably my biggest major competition.
but I mean, even competitive amateur. Did you do like a state tournament or anything like that, or
I mean,
regionals
I played
in
in
the
competitive
thirties?
like US. I played in competitive USTA leagues.
That's all
Like
there is. I don't know enough.
yeah. And I represented Gibraltar in tennis in the Small Island Games, which is basically small islands in the world that get to compete in their own version of the Olympics. But it wasn't anything that it was like I was getting paid to do. I was getting paid to do my job. So when pickleball came along and I got bribed, my friend Lisa Palsick kindly bribed me with a case of beer and said it would be so much fun. Um, and I played, and it was fun, and it was something else to do, and it was something that my partner and I could do. It was something that we could do together. It was something that we could do to make friends, to meet people, and to create. It's fun going down to the courts and not necessarily having to play together, but she can play with her group, I can play with my group, and then we can all go and have a barbecue or go for a drink after. And that you look at the table and you're like, these are people that I would never have met if it hadn't been for pickleball. And the thought from being in pickleball and then seeing the tournament side of it and seeing how that tournament side was growing and actually to be able to play pro, like that was never something that was on the cards. That's never something I thought I would do. It wasn't like I set out in mid 40s. I'm going to be a professional pickleball player. I sort of fell into it, which I'm thankful for because it's been one hell of a ride and a fun ride. But it's been a series of very fortunate events and accidents that led me to this place because I mean, like, why would I ever play something called pickleball, right? It's like saying,
Mhm.
hey, do you want to be on my curling team? No, thanks. But, and then you do it and you have fun and you realize there's a whole community, and all of a sudden your life takes this hard turn in a different direction that is just magical and great.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the biggest lesson is A, never say never, and B, always be open, because how thankful and amazing has this journey been, and is continues to be.
Yeah, no, that's what I was geeking out as you were talking. I almost started like laughing out loud about me reflecting on mine when I played with my parents for the first time. And then I was playing a sport with my mom. I played a tournament with my mom and her friends, and I was like, "What the like? Where would I have gotten this?" Kathy would be like, "Hey, Chris, good stuff."
But think about how your mom, like, how cool that moment was for your mom.
It's
Not just, I mean,
I
looking
can
back
still
later
out.
on,
Yeah,
for you, right? And when you get
yeah,
married and have kids, you could do the same thing. And then imagine if your kids can play with their grandma, and you look at this and you're like, where else does this happen?
it doesn't. And that's what the whole point is. That's why it's like so wacky. This is like way bigger than this some little wiffle ball game. It's so weird that it brings people together and it heals people's brains and their hearts and their everything, just because there's so much good energy provided from it. And that's what I've really taken away. Going and playing, you get good energy around you by being associated with someone, a connection, and that connection is pickleball. And
And but I'll take that one step further, and I think that one of the things that is the most shocking to me about pickleball is the sounds you hear, right? Of laughter and enjoyment. And think about life. Think about how we are socially molded to grow up. You go to school, you go to college. When you get to college, when what do you got to get a degree. What is your degree? It needs to be something that you can have a stable job and you can earn money. And when you earn money, then you're going to have a relationship, and you're going to have buy a house, and you're going to have children and a white picket fence and 2.0 children and the perfect well-behaved dog in the front yard, waving at the mailman as it goes by. And we get caught up in the should. The one thing we forget to do when we become adults is we forget how to play. And pickleball has brought back playing. And that is why sometimes you hear, a lot of the times you hear childlike laughter and giggling and just joyous sounds, because for the first time in their adult life, they are playing again, and they're going back to that feeling they had when they were a child. And that is huge.
so it's all right. Now let's get to some juice. That is 1,000,000% why I stopped playing. Not pushed to be so good. I was getting more separated and more alone, and I feel that's. I want to know how you handle that part, which is not. There's no solution. There's just better things to try. But like right now in your life, when you're trying to compete, so wanting to get better, 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 and then also just wanting to make sure you enjoy it for the love of the game. Because like what happened to me was, as soon as had to win, and I lost in a 5-0 tournament, and I just like screwed it up, and I let my partner down, and then I just like was like pissed off for like a week. I was like, what am I doing? This
Right.
is supposed to be my outlet to rehab my brain, not to make me more pissed and stressed and anxious and shameful over a pickleball tournament. Because my self-worth was like my expectations go up, everybody's does,
Mm-hmm.
and their self-worth is like based off of their success in pickleball, because it means so much to them, that there's a point where it means, I thought for me, because I'm just a super competitive guy, that it was going to be the ROI was going to start going the other direction at a certain point. How do you deal with it?
A perspective, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love to compete. I love to win. I also realize the stage of life that I'm in. I'm not 22. I wish I was. I'd have one hell of a career ahead of me. But it's one of those things where I remember you always have this FOMO thing going on in tournaments. I remember missing the first tournament I couldn't go to. I thought I was going to be, it was going to cripple me. And the beauty is like, you're okay. Life goes on. You lose a match, and life goes on. We live in a very insular bubble, so to speak, in the competitive world, that you think it's a be all and end all. But when you step outside that bubble, you realize that nobody really cares that you won or lost. They care about you as a human being. And for me, I live in the villages and I have a ton of groups that I could play with at every level. My partner's a 4-0, and if I'm here, I'll go play. I'll go play with the ladies and the guys, and just have fun. I play in the fun money balls. I play in the early morning open plays, and that keeps perspective and it keeps the fun in it and it keeps it's sometimes we think that we're this huge celebrity because we've done something that somebody found impactful. But at the end of the day, it's like, I think at this point in my life, the only celebrity I want to be is to the people in my circle around me. And the kind of celebrity I want to be is that I'm a good human being and I make people laugh and smile. And if that's the stuff that keeps you going, right? It's not the wins, the accolades. I mean, in 2 generations' time, no one's going to know who we are. Make a
Exactly.
difference. Make a
Love
difference to the people around you now, and then that's a space that I'm trying to live in. And sometimes I fail. Don't get me wrong, but I never want to. I never want to be bigger than the sport. I want to be remembered as somebody who helped grow the sport, who was passionate about the sport and cared about everybody in the sport at every level.
it. Hmm.
I'm fortunate enough to play pro and I get a platform that way. But at the end of the day, I care about really making a difference in people's lives and letting them know that they mattered. That to me is a win, and that's the A-list celebrity I want to be, right? Not the
Hmm.
red
That's why I'm
carpet,
talking to you.
you
That's why
know.
we're. I love it. That was the first. You said something in one of those podcasts, just like raising the vibration, bringing more joy to the community, making people happier, and it touches on what I recognize too is like even you can lose and have more fun. That's what I ended up kind of surrendering to. It's like laugh. It's like yeah, that's awesome. Like
Yeah.
I took it like back in the day when you're playing college sports and you're just like it's the last game you could ever have. And this is like pickleball. It's like even pro. This is what you just like open my eyes, like how you deal with it. And it's like these guys too. This is a problem I see. You're experienced enough and well enough where I'm really nervous about some of these guys that their entire self worth is based on them being signed, and then all of a sudden not being signed. What are they going to do?
Well, and it's yeah, and it's something that I mean, even like you said, it's your last college game, and sometimes we get so caught up in the process of winning, in the process of everything that we forget to enjoy it,
Yeah,
and you forget to live in that moment, win or lose. I mean, like there's like maybe what 200 pro pickleball players right now. Like you get to be one of 200. Like come on, like there's not that many people. You get to be one of them. Embrace it, enjoy it. Someone's going to be number one, someone's going to be 200. It's the same as like, when you go to the doctor, do you ask your doctor where he graduated in his class? No, you don't care, right? You just know that he graduated, he's got a diploma, and he's allowed to practice. Do you care
yep.
if he graduated 200th or first? No, you don't, because you go in on blind trust. But it's the same. It's like someone goes, you play pro pickleball. I'm like, yeah. He's like, isn't that great?
We're
Yes,
not
it is.
gonna. We can't get too far into the weeds on that because that could be like 8,000 pro players if we go by everyone who's played in a
Well,
pro.
yeah, but you know what I mean. I mean, it's
I know.
but
I'm
even
just doing
even
what
eight
those
thousand,
what
even
the
eight
trolls
thousand
will do.
in the even 8,000 in the population of the world, that is a very very small amount. You get to be
Absolutely.
one of them. Not many people get to say they get to be that. Embrace it, enjoy it, and enjoy the perks that come with it. Enjoy the ride, enjoy the process, and be present. So you're not number one. Guess what? Are you number one in everything you do in life? No, it's okay.
How do you play with Cindy, your partner?
Oh, I'm the worst. I'm the worst partner ever. I'm like, why did you get the ball over? I'm terrible. Because here's the thing. It's like, I will say, like, I can play rec with anybody except my partner. Because, and I think it's true for most couples. You tend to say things that you will never say to somebody else because you can cross that line with the person. Not that you can or should, but you
Yeah,
tend to cross that line and be a little sterner or harsher because you have that level of comfort and trust. Now that
yeah.
doesn't give me permission. Things I say, I'm like, oh my God, and it's out of my mouth before I can even reel it back in. And I'm like, yeah, yeah. Someone's walking off the court,
It's like
you
what
know.
what you're saying in the kitchen comes out on the court.
Right, but it's
It's
like
like,
I would never say it to if we're playing, I would never be like, "Hey, Chris, why didn't you get the
yeah,
ball over?" Like, "Oh my God, what?" It's like I would never do
yeah,
that,
yep.
But sometimes no, but it's like I mean, I'll do that sometimes, but for the most part, we have fun, and it's like, hey, who cares?
Do they
It's
hit the ball?
pickleball.
Do people not even hit the ball to you, or do they, or do you like take it down a level? Because that's a big
So
thing.
yeah, so here's when I get very, very mad, and my worst self comes out. Right, and it's like if you're ever gonna poke the bear, this is probably one instance where it's like this is probably my Achilles. Like if I'm playing with Cindy or I'm playing with somebody who's not as good as me, and they in rec, like there's nothing on the line. We're not playing for a $2 medal, right? Or even $10. There's nothing on the line. Why are you picking unnecessarily and targeting my partner to the fault to the point that now my partner is like, this isn't fun. I'm feeling targeted, and then you're slamming balls. That's when it's
The only
like,
way that there's a justification for that, just hold on, because I think I'm just if people hear this, is that the way stronger player has to tone it down 3 notches and let the points keep going and keep working the ball, so then they feel comfortable hitting it to that person. But
well, for
that
example, yeah,
person just goes to kill every time they finally get a chance, that person's really scared to hit it to the better player.
for sure. But here's the thing: is if I get on the court with 4 players, I'm not going to play like a pro. I'm going to
Yeah,
have, and I will say I'm the worst rec player I know because I make the most. I make 2-5 mistakes
yeah.
constantly, right? But it's more of a like play to the better person and understand that the better person knows and has the sense of self to play to your level and play the points and push you and really work you. That's going to make you better. But you targeting the weaker person intentionally and obnoxiously is just making you look like a douche,
No,
uh,
I,
in my eyes, right?
I agree with you completely. I'm always trying to see why that's such a big problem, and I think there's two other pieces. Just what we're talking about, you know it too. You have to be like aware enough as the stronger player, like you are, to not go too hard. Which a lot of people, when they don't get picked on, or then as soon as they see a ball, they're like overly aggressive. A
Right,
lot of people, and then so the other team, they're not even they start purposefully doing it, but then it's like instinctual. It's instinctual because every time they hit it over in this area, it fucking just comes back hard,
right.
you know. And it's and because there's a lot of people that don't even know better. They're just like really getting into it, and they're trying to like learn the game, and they're just hitting it to the person that's not going to whack it back at them.
Well,
And
and there's
so
also some people that just want to win at all costs and don't
and
care.
that's what I was getting at, is like the number one lesson is you have to realize the more shots there are in a game, the more fun it is. So if you're the
Yeah,
strongest player, keep hitting it and keeping it in play for them to let it keep coming back. And like
exactly.
the more it can keep going, the
Work
more.
on resets, work on something. But I mean, honestly, it's like if we go out to lunch afterwards, like, is anyone standing there going to give a toast to, like, hey, Earl, congratulations on your win today and kicking the shit out of everybody? No one's doing that. So it's like, come on, like, do you go home and brag about it? Like, no, come on. So,
I
like, and then how much do you like yourself afterwards? Or are you that unevolved that you are incapable of seeing what you've created?
what you just said is what it comes down to, and it's unfortunate, but there's like stuff that has been programmed for so many years that it's win at all costs, and that's their whole. If they don't win, they look there's it's not they're not the best, and the best is everything, and win. And like
Yeah, but it's not my fault that you did not succeed in becoming the high school quarterback or the
we
3-point
can't
champion, right?
change this.
You
These are
can't.
people that
And now you're trying to relive this glory on the pickleball court that you don't have. It's like why it's.
well, because you have it, Lee. It's called. I don't want to say it in the wrong way because people are going to take offense to it.
But
It's
it's
the
low emotion on
it's called the
television, right?
wannabe. It's the wannabe syndrome. They've been wannabes their whole life. You were something. You were you played tennis in college. A lot of people never even made their high school team or their basketball, and they never played a sport. They played kickball and they sucked at it. Okay, whatever. I'm just giving you, and this is a touchy. I probably have to edit
Yeah, I
this,
know. We're gonna have to edit this out because this is we gotta
but
kind
this is
of.
real.
But I do get what you're saying, but
This is real. That they don't even nothing you and I can. what we're
No, they
saying.
don't see themselves. They don't see
They
themselves.
can't even see that. They don't
Right.
even know that that's a part of this. The game, the game to them is winning,
Right. Yeah,
and that's
but it's and what is winning, right?
it. It's like it's winning every shot.
Right.
It's like it's like what
To them winning is the score, not necessarily their progress or their or their journey.
their whole my dad the upstate New York game all changed because of one time when I finally convinced them to do one thing. I said, Dad, I used to. This is how I tell people to change. Anytime somebody's like, I can tell they need help with something. I'm like, hey, could I give you a recommendation that somebody gave me that really helped me? That's how I've learned is the best way to give advice to someone you don't know. So, anyways, like, can I give you some advice? What were we just getting at? Because I was going somewhere else.
Oh, one thing in your dad's rec game in New York
Oh,
that
oh yeah,
changed
yeah. So
everything.
I was like, Dad, I was like, it's this one thing we've been doing. This we tried, and it was really fun, and it really made the points go longer, and it just came way. It was so much more fun. Try it with your group if you can sometime, because he was kept complaining to me that these new guys kept coming in and banging, and he's like, they're really good. I can't stop it. I was like, you got to reset. He's like, no, I reset, and he still comes back, and I was like, all right, well, the game. I was like, well, just see if these guys will be willing to do it. Tell them I recommended it because I did it a couple times and it was really fun. Said no winners. You can't try to go for a winner. You have to try to force an error on the other team. You just have to play a game with just forcing the air to the other person. They have to make a mistake. You can't hit it hard unless it's a guarantee 80% over
Right.
your shoulder down. He's like, oh my God, it worked. It worked. They play. We had the points were so long. It was so fun. And I was like, yeah. And you kind of start doing that a little bit more. But that's like not that was a very lucky situation that he got them to do it in. I don't even remember how, because these
Right.
guys are all like, and that's happening in every single court. It happened to me 50 times. It happened to you. It happened to everybody. That's just how it works.
Well, and it's
And
also like I taught a camp with Alex Fox one time in Washington, and we had a beginner group, and they were just out of control. And we did okay. This is what you have to do. Every ball has to have an arc.
mhm.
Has to have an arc. And all of a sudden, there was rallies. There was things happening, and I think I mean even like if you look at anything right in tennis and I don't take tennis because it's what I know, but it's if you're going for the winner, you're almost in a different psychological mindset. But if you think I'm setting everything up, I'm setting myself up, I'm setting myself up
Yes.
for the open court, and then pickleball is a much smaller court, the winners are harder to hit. So therefore, if you think I've got to set up, I'm going to move you here to move you here to do this, to do this, to do this, like the open court presents itself or the error presents itself. But it's a
Hmm.
much better psychological mindset than I'm going to hit a winner because
You
that's
want
more
to,
like I'm going to destroy you. And it's like, no, I'm just going to push you around the court, move the ball around, and then I'm gonna trust that I can keep it in play longer than you can, and then when the
you know
ball
what
is
I
there, I'm gonna hit it harder.
you know what I use for that. Just because I'm over analytical, I look at this game so strategically. It's all about unforced errors, and like the more winners you hit, there's a higher chance you're going to lose because you have more losers. Whatever it is, whatever all those details are. Crap! What were you just telling me? There was something else.
About setup shots and building the point versus
Oh,
going for a winner.
um, no. Fuck.
Okay, let's see if this will bring it back. So if say for example we play each other and I'm like I'm gonna destroy you. I'm like what does that mean? I'm gonna kick your ass 11-0, 11-0. Well, if I win 11-2, 11-3, I've failed because in my mind I was going to kick your butt 11-0, 11-0. So that was an unrealistic expectation. So to me it's like what is my goal? I have to win 55% of the points, right? I'm going for 55% on the scoring side. That is it. I will win every time. I can't have an unrealistic expectation. So what am I going to work on? I've got to work on the things I can control. I can control my shots. I can control
Oh,
the point.
I know what I was going to say. Duh,
Told
got
ya.
it.
I'd
Thank
bring
you.
you back there.
So I keep track. I started counting my errors. This was a couple years ago, just for fun. I was like, I'm going to start counting just to keep track like in a few matches. It's wild. It really is wild. It's like 10, 11. Wild for me. I was like, wow, that's a lot. But it was way not noticeable throughout the game. You know. Anyways, I do offense and defense. When I started playing tournaments with people that were really aggressive guys, I said when they're serving, we're on defense. We can't go for as much because if we go for anything, it's losing a point. When we serve, we're on offense. Offense means we can go for some winners, do some things, take a little bit more risk because our serve and the risk is not losing a point. It's only getting a point. But when they serve, I would just always say defense, defense, to remind the defensive style play.
Right.
You know?
One of the best lessons I ever had was with one of the OGs of pickleball, Brian Ashworth. Right. I was
Yep.
so excited that he got to play that he wanted to play mixed doubles with me when I first started playing. And I was super nervous because he's Brian Ashworth. And I remember playing, and my serve, I'd make a mistake on my third, or I'd do something, and he's like, "Calm down." And I'm like, we got to score. He's like, "Lee," he's like, "No, you don't have to score." He's like, "We have all the time in the world to score." He's like, "We just have to make sure that we stop them from scoring. But we can play our offense, we can play our thing. We have time to score, so long as we're stopping them from scoring." And it was one of those things that it made me look at the pickleball game in a completely different manner, through a completely different lens. And I was like, and it clicked and it made sense. And then it's like, okay, I get it. But it was playing with him, and those, and I repeat that sentence to everybody that I teach all the time.
I
It's like,
love that. That's good. That's a big concept. It's like unlimited time. You have an unlimited time shot clock when
yeah. So
and
long
you
as I
as
stop
long
your
as you
shot clock.
rebound well and
Yeah.
block well and play good defense.
Exactly. And
You have
that was,
unlimited.
yeah, Brian Ashworth. Words of
I love
wisdom
it.
that I, to this day, I mean, that was 6 years ago, and I
Yep.
will not forget them.
Well, I remember he was pro light. I got the cipher when it first
Yeah.
came out.
I mean, he's such a talented player.
He's a good
But,
dude too.
but yeah, good dude.
So we got a clip. We'll tag him for that.
Absolutely. He deserves the credit for that. It's like,
Yeah.
I will attribute a lot of my success to his words of wisdom and encouragement, because he was probably one of the first OG pros that believed in me, and I'm forever thankful for that.
Who else did?
Um,
We don't have to do shout outs if you don't want to, but not shout outs, but who's just like instrumental? It could be a random person, random.
so I discovered pickleball in the Pacific Northwest, right, when I lived in Bend, Oregon, and
Yep,
so you had your Wes Gabrielson, you had Eric Lang hadn't started playing yet, you had Troy Lysing that was playing, Christine McGrath was playing, not Christine McGrath, Christine Barksdale was playing.
yep.
Um, she'd moved to
Was
Arizona, but
Michelle there?
no, she came later. This was way back.
Uh huh.
Um, you had Bonnie Williams was playing. Um, there was a lot of OGs playing, and the Pacific Northwest had a good crew. Um, and it was, yeah, I mean, Brian Ashworth was probably one of the first guys who took a chance on me and wanted to play mixed doubles with me, and
You say like take a chance, and like people are
because
like,
he was already established, right, and he
yeah,
had a
but you are a freaking athlete. Like
now.
you were. I've watched you from day one, Lee. I
Yeah,
knew
but
day one watching you. You were are strong, athletic, and just good at soft
yeah,
and hard. So like, it's not hard to like.
but it
There's
is
not
hard to break
that.
into a
Don't
scene.
give yourself enough credit. There's not that many females that have the soft and the hard that you have.
I appreciate that, and but it's also
You
hard
know
breaking.
that, but you
It's
don't know
also
that.
hard breaking in, but it's also hard breaking into a scene when you're the new kid on the block, right? And they have their groups and all that, and people up and comers are feeling that now as well, and
Yeah,
I think that's one of the reasons why I will, you know,
You know
My
the
door is always open. I'm like, do you want to play? You know, people ask me to play with them, and if I'm not partnered, I will definitely play because I know what it was like trying to get a partner. So I never want somebody to feel like they couldn't ask, right? Because sometimes it takes a lot of guts to ask somebody to
so
play.
that I, I don't, yeah, I don't want to get too detailed, but before I even came on the scene, people talked to me about you didn't even know this, and that's what's hilarious and why I'm saying this. I mean, we're talking pre Shelton, okay? Like I had already been getting word of you on the street, the pickleball street, from a bunch of different random spots, and then the funny part is there's this threat factor. So some of the higher people, if I brought it up you up, they'd be like, "Yeah, I don't think she could. No, I'm not. She's not good now." Because they were all threatened. It's like how you're talking about all these people get like confident. Everybody does, and then there's a threat to the team. And um, you were people knew, but they didn't want to even accept it even in the top community because you're a threat. It's still a battle, and I don't want to put too much because I'm not a part of the whole thing, but what you're kind of going through now and what other people go through in different areas with having to pick their favorites, like as people are in different groups and biased, things don't go as they should as much as people want them to. And that's why there's so much uncertainty with you. And even when you were going through it, you didn't even realize that there was so many people paying attention. And you're like thanking people to be partners. They're like, dude, you could get anybody kind of thing. That's what it was like. But they had already made commitments with others. And it was like,
Right.
it's such a big deal. Now you can't even, that person's not good enough because I already made a commitment. It would just ruffled everybody's feathers too much.
Yeah,
So
and I think that's the problem right now with pickleball where it's at, especially in the pro world, right? It's still very very small.
mhm.
It's not at the point where you could, you know, you need a partner for a tournament and you can be like, I've got 45 people I could call.
Everything's booked. It's like it's
Yeah,
matchmaking.
and they're
It's
booked a year out. I'm
yeah.
like, I don't even know if what if you know. They're like, well, what are you playing next month? I'm like, I have no idea. I'm like, I will
Well,
figure that
what
out.
all this
Like people
does
are
though,
like planning it beyond.
there's so many inefficiencies. I mean, I don't even want to talk too much about the pro scene too,
Yeah,
but that
let's move
like
on. Let's move on from
yeah,
that.
they'll we'll pay attention to
Instant
some
Ink isn't about pro pickleball anyway.
no. Um, I am about making team events like this or Moneyball things like you talk about in every single community. That's just the community, not to make money, not like trying to put some label on it, duper, so we can make $20 a person. It's like, no, put that, set up an organization, some basic brackets, and it's already happening, which I love.
Yeah, I
But
mean, listen, the money bolts I play in, it's a $5 buy-in, and then I end up either with winnings buying lottery tickets or buying a round of beer. So it's like it's not. I mean,
that's
it's
how
not
it should
life-changing
be.
money.
That's how
It
it
will
should
be.
be.
It will be life-changing money if one of my winnings turns into the Powerball, Mega Millions, you know, whatever.
Yes,
I'm like
absolutely. I
thankful for
mean,
Moneyball.
I'm going to pause this and then we're going to restart just so I have a couple multiple
Okay, I've got about